folks, welcome to Look Back. This is where I take a look at games that came out, where I did reviews of them a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago, and tell you what I think about them today. Whew, there was a lot of games that I reviewed during this week every year, and I guess it just goes to show you. We'll start with 1 year ago. First of all, we have War Quest. War Quest was just, I wanted to like War Quest. This big, grandiose game with really cool miniatures, but the board was unreadable, the rules weren't very clear, and it was just a really boring attack game with an awful attack system. This game is just really bad across the board. Speak Out is a party game, which really I was probably too nice to. You'll notice I dropped my rating of it because the game is just gross. There's drool coming out of your mouth. There's like 6 versions of this game. I guess some people find it funny. I'm not as impressed. Then we have Queen Strike. This is a game that uses like holograms, not really, use your iPad to make a fake hologram. It's a cute, clever idea, but the game was really just too random, unfortunately, and it's big and bulky. Bluff You. This is a game in which you are basically saying, am I bluffing or not? That's it. There's no real reason to bluff in this game, which therefore makes it not that good of a game. Dragons and Chickens. This is a speed game where you're hitting cards based on whether you see chickens there. Sometimes with the dragon, you don't want to hit it. There's a lot of speed games out there, and this one didn't really do anything for me. Poker Assault. This is a game that sounds really cool. 4 different factions and how they work together with special abilities, but it wasn't really much like poker. It was more random poker, and random poker is not good. But there were good reviews I did a year ago. We'll start with J'accuse. This is a game in which, now this one barely crosses the threshold. You have to kind of get into the role-playing of this as you're going around trying to accuse somebody else and put the evidence in front of them and accuse them. But if you role-play it up, it is an entertaining little game. Then we have Mondrian, the dice game. This is kind of a game where you're bouncing dice or rolling dice onto a board with different shapes and trying to control different shapes. It's based on that artwork, which I've never really understood why it's famous, but whatever. But the game itself, dice, I liked it. Then Sam and I did a big review, really, of Doom, which is interesting because this game has seemingly completely gone off the radar. There was an original Doom, the board game. This is the sequel. This one was much better. Had a really cool way of finding guns and adding cards to your deck, in a sense, when you find new things. I really liked a lot of concepts, cool miniatures. It was a very good little game going around and fighting big monsters. If you like Doom, the video game, and you're looking for it in a board game, this does a good job at bringing that in. Then we have Make and Break Architect. This has like one of those big rulers that unfolds, and you're trying to fold it in a certain way based on a card. Make and Break has always been stacking blocks. This one was folding a ruler around. I enjoyed that. Pokemon. I played the new set a year ago, Pokemon the card game, XY Evolutions. I liked it more than I used to, right? Now, was part of this because at the time I was big into Pokemon Go, which has seemingly fallen off the radar for me. Maybe, but I don't think it's just that. It just seemed better. When I first played it, I was comparing it to all the other collectible card games out there, and I said, this is too simple. Nowadays, I see that simplicity is not a bad thing, especially when playing with kids. Fold It. This is a really unique game where you're taking a cloth, and you got to fold it in the right way to show a different combination. So you're trying to puzzle out the best way to fold this cloth back and forth. It's a really cool idea. They made a sequel to it, which I haven't played yet. Battlefold, I think it's called, but the original one was interesting and different. Then we have Plague Incorporated. Plague Incorporated is a game in which you are the plague trying to destroy the world. This has been a computer game. I think the computer game was originally called Pandemic, and then they made Plague Incorporated for the iOS, which I played a lot of times. It's kind of a dark theme, but they did a good job at bringing it to the board game. I was a little worried, a licensed game, but it actually plays very well. And then finally, Insider. You'll notice I dropped my rating for Insider, and that's because Werewords is out. And even though I'm not a big fan of the werewolf theme, it really does a better job, and you really should play Werewords over Insider in the sense that it has you can make your own library of words, you can play for a really long time. There's just much more depth to it. Let's go back 5 years now. 5 years ago, I played a game called Flick Your Chip, where you would flick a chip up in the air to see what would happen next and move around the board. That's a dated thing. It was dated 5 years ago. It's dated now. Cosmonauts. This is a game where you fly ships around and get different things going on in those ships. And it's an interesting idea, Cosmonauts, but I don't think that it really fit together. I'm dropping the rating because this is the kind of game that 5 years ago I was like, yeah, well, there's a lot of fiddliness in it, but I'll forgive it. I don't forgive that sort of thing these days. Then we have Viva Java, which I liked okay. Viva Java, the dice game came out, and it was so much better. Viva Java is an interesting game, going around and collecting coffee beans, and the theme is fine, but it's kind of faded as time goes by. It was just a little too long for what I wanted it to be. Then we have Fame Us, in which you're playing cards at the middle of the table, characteristics, and you're trying to think of a famous person that matches those cards. Almost good, but not quite. Tahiti, this is a game where you sail around and try to deliver goods. It's kind of a small pickup and delivery game. It's okay. Cowtown, playing different cards, kind of like a little bit like Uno, collecting cows. For kids, it's okay. Zombicide. Now this one's interesting. My rating here is dropped because Zombicide Black Plague is out and it's superior to Zombicide in every way. As time has gone by, you know, the zombie thing has become bloated. Zombicide had a lot of good things going for it, and I still don't dislike the game, but I don't think I would ever pick it over Zombicide Black Plague. Let's see, where are we at now? Now we're at Courtier. This is in the series of games that they made where AEG was making up their own universe. Love Letter is the only one that really took off. Dominaire is my favorite of the lot. This was probably my second favorite of the lot, as you play different cards and try to control different people and use their special abilities. It's an interesting game, but it just doesn't get played anymore by anybody that I can tell. Space Cadets. Here's another one that dropped. I really like the idea of Space Cadets. I love the idea of Space Cadets, actually more than continually playing it. Part of that's because the game is so hard to teach. Everyone's playing their own little mini game, and you're all playing this big cooperative game, and you have to teach each person their game, and then the game will have something where you switch spots, and now you have to learn a whole new game. It's a cool concept, and it still works, just not as good as it once did. And there's a lot of games that have kind of knocked it down for me, like Captain Sonar and things like that. Let's see, then we have some great games that I played 5 years ago. Ticket to Ride, Heart of Africa. One of the meanest Ticket to Ride maps that there is, but still highly entertaining. Had the way the colors were set up on this board played a very different thing because they were kind of grouped together. I like that. Fearsome Floors. That didn't come out 5 years ago, but I probably did a re-review of this Friedman Freeze game where you're all running for a monster and the monster's moving around trying to chase everybody, and you're hoping he catches other people before you. Then we have Police Precinct. This dropped slightly because there's so many good cooperative games out, but still one of my favorite. A great theme where you're a bunch of police officers trying to stop as much crime as you can in a city, so that's entertaining. A lot of entertaining. Escape. Curse of the Temple. And I also took a look at its expansion, but Escape, this real-time cooperative game where you roll dice all trying to get out, still is one I really like, still is in my collection, just a lot of fun. And then there's Kemet. Kemet, what a fantastic game. Man, look at my rating. You can't get higher than this. Kemet, this game, I remember first playing it thinking it was fantastic, and every time I played it, my rating just got better and better and better. It does so many things right. It has a tech tree. It's the way it does the dudes in a map thing. There's big monsters in it that you actually get to use in combat. So much goodness in this game. The expansions have only made it better. 10 years ago, all my ratings went down 10 years ago. Antler Island, this was a game from the Lamont, the Lamont Brothers, Fragger Games, about, moving around. It had really cute little reindeer in it. It's a decent game, but it's a little too fiddly for it doesn't offer enough strategy, I think, as time has gone by. Castle. This is a Risk-like game, and at the time I was like, well, compared to Risk, this isn't bad. Well, you know what? There's a lot of games we can compare to Risk, and this one had a really annoying Black Plague thing that killed people. It's okay, but I wouldn't play this one again. And iCube, an abstract strategy game where you're building this cube. It's also solitaire puzzle, which I thought worked really well. It's a really pretty thing. It's something you can put on the middle of your table, and it has some, if you like to build in 3D, but there's probably a lot better games out there than this one nowadays. Those are the games that I reviewed 10 years ago. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and this has been Look Back.